Hey everybody, welcome back to the Creative Finance Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Jen, and you guys are in for a treat today. I have the lovely Kate with me, who is going to share with you some of the behind the scenes of real estate investing, how to get leads for free, which you know we love around here, and the way that real estate can truly help you build your dream life, whatever vehicle, whatever fashion that you use it in. And she's got quite a story. She is now a successful coach for other coaches, and it's just a true gem. So she lives down here in Florida near me. We are spoiled by the sunshine. Kate, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my gosh. So how long have you lived in Florida now?
3 years.
Okay, we're about the same time then.
Yeah.
What brought you to the Tampa area? Was it on purpose, on a whim?
Of course not. Well, my 10 years in real estate, I started to want to invest outside of my New Jersey primary where I grew up, and Florida was the best place. I started to research a bunch of different places in Florida, and I read all of the redevelopment zones in Tampa, Florida, and I realized that this was a really good spot. So 6 years ago, I bought my first Airbnb down.
Wow. So yeah, let's take it back. Kind of share with us a little bit more about how you got into real estate. Were you an agent and an investor, and that short-term rental life? I don't own any Airbnbs, and I don't know if I ever will. So I definitely want to hear a little bit about that.
So yeah, 6 years of owning Airbnbs. I am not a customer service person. I know how to leverage, and so I had somebody that was helping me host, but still, it's not for me. But that's why we do this, right? This like amazing journey of entrepreneurship. You like get to learn what you're good at and what you're not. Yeah, so when I was 24, I bought my first house, and all I ever wanted to do was flip properties. And so I bought my first house at 24, and I had a partner that was the contractor on it. And we renovated it, and I was like, I think it will be easier if I get my license. And so I got my real estate license, and then that just absolutely exploded. And next thing I knew, I sold 300 million in real estate. And I was actually just doing a social media clip today. I was living in my car eating peanut butter out of the jar because I was so busy in like the worst way. And I hated my life. And here we are.
My gosh. So to hear that in the same sentence, 300 million sold in real estate, but miserable eating, I mean, that does sound miserable. Peanut butter in a jar in your car. Like what?
Yeah.
So how did you make it through those hard days? So some people might be in maybe not real estate, but in a job they don't like. What was something that kept you going to make it through that?
Yeah, and like it was great, right? You're like helping so many people, and that's all amazing, but like I absolutely burnt myself out for sure. But what kept me going was I knew that I got a coach somewhere in between those 10 years in real estate, and that coach literally changed my life. Like I didn't know that I was capable of selling $300 million in real estate or of anything. I'm from this like little tiny town and like barely graduated high school and like all the things. And like, I didn't know what I didn't know. And so when I first got that coach, and that coach believed more in me than I did myself, and he took me from 0 to 100, I was 100% passionate about coaching from that day. And so while I was in the grind of selling 300 million in real estate, I was like, I'm doing this to learn, and then I'm going to coach. And that's exactly what I did.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know that about you. So it's crazy because, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok now, they make it look so glamorous, right? Like the ladies stepping out of their fancy car with their briefcase or, whatever, selling whatever gorgeous house. But the reality is there's a lot of work that goes behind A, making that darn real, and then also B, like actually making that transaction happen.
Yeah, I always say like on the side, I'm going to start a podcast one day and talk about the things that people don't tell you about real estate. While yes, it can be glamorous, there is a lot that goes into it.
Oh my gosh, it is true. And so that's the part where I find that some folks get tripped up on. They've committed to themselves. They're going to become a real estate investor. Maybe they even have a rental property that they've purchased a traditional way. And obviously we love creative, not having to go to the banks with big down payments. But I find that it's the boring, everyday, mundane tasks that aren't super sexy that people, they just want to bypass, but there's just no like easy button. And so I'm sure you found that in your path. So is there any advice you could give for those listening who maybe feel like, but man, I'm doing all the right things, but it's not fun and it's not looking like what I'm seeing on Instagram?
Yeah, the success is born in the boredom. So when you think you're bored doing your lead generation activities, your sales for 2, 3, 4 hours a day, that's where you're making all your money.
Yeah. So let's get into that a little bit. You said that you didn't spend any money in marketing when you
Nope,
were doing that. So what kind of
still
lead
haven't.
generation? I love that. Oh, girl, let's talk about it. Like, what kind of lead generation do you use? What are the things that you find success with?
So I love relationship building and I love referrals. So, which essentially are the same thing, right? But there is a little bit of a method behind the madness because you have to be purposeful about relationship building, right? Because like past 10 people that you know, I'm like, who did I meet yesterday, right? So I love using a CRM to manage my relationships. Like literally that's what it is, right? Like a client relationship management site, like purposefully using it. So if I go to an event and I meet somebody that wants to sell their house, they're going in my CRM. I'm not going to call them and say like, hey, when do you want to sell your house, right? I'm going to call them and ask them like, how was the event? Because I'm like using emotional intelligence to build the relationship, and by proxy they want to sell me their house.
Yeah. And I think that that's a part. Is there some place that like a book you read or people that you learned from to build those relationships? Or how would you say that you were, because sometimes people are like, well, I just don't know what to say. Like, I'm not a people person. And to which I say, well, real estate is a people business. We definitely need to work on that.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I think we're all people. I think we like get in our own way. And we're like afraid. We think we're bothering them. We think we like make up all of these stories in our head, and that's like simply not true. I rather sell you, Jen, my house than some guy that sent me a postcard, right? Because I know you because I saw you at the event. So I think it's a disservice if you don't stay in contact with them and build that relationship and build the trust. So I feel good about selling you my house.
Yeah. So you leveraged a lot of in-person things? Did you do any online marketing as well?
I've always done social media. I'm not huge at all, but I've always stayed consistent on social media to gain mind share. I've always done in-person events, whether I either go to them or I host them. My like best return is people to people. Like the energy exchange there is through no other. It doesn't match anything else I could possibly do, but that's what works for me. And again, like taking everybody that I possibly know, putting them into the CRM every single day, constantly building that list of people that I know, and then staying in contact with them. But that's what works for me. I know not every coach is built the same. I know in the beginning of my real estate career, I had a coach that just taught cold calling. I didn't convert anything. I am not a cold caller. I'm not a script follower. I'm like, let me feel your emotions and like meet you where you are and like build trust with you. And so I didn't do well. And then I moved over and I got a coach and he was like, how have you made your last couple of sales? And I'm like, through referrals. And he's like, okay, can we just build more of them? And I'm like, yeah. And then, the rest is history from there.
My gosh, I love that because I found that it was like going back to my teaching days where in the classroom we have different learning styles, right? And so I've had some folks who are like all about posting, I'll do whatever you say. They post on their socials. They've literally got inbox leads like coming in left and right. And I had another gal, she was out of New York City. She actually was great going live. Her posts were beautiful, but she hated doing it. And so finally, on a conversation with her, I'm like, well, why don't you try something else? It's your business. At the end of the day, like all lead generations work, all the different things, but pick one that you're going to consistently do that you don't literally hate. And so she decided to send out mailers, and I think she did 3 deals off of that one mail drop that she did. And it was just little tweaks like that where, it is hard to say like, you can only do something this way. Like I love Facebook because it is free, but it's not the end all be all.
No. Yeah, and you have to really decide like what has worked for you in the past, even if it's on something completely different, and what can you like hone in on, like you're saying. Yeah. Not every single thing works for everybody.
Yeah, but at the same time, I got to go back to Facebook or social media in general because I just feel like it is the business card of today and tomorrow, and it just keeps changing and it's not going anywhere. So let's dive into that a little bit. I know you just recently attended a conference, so any takeaways or key concepts that you could truly help with as far as people who maybe haven't even logged into their Facebook? in a couple of years. They got some old college photos hanging around on there. What are some tips for a new person who's like, okay, I'm going to give it a go, but you know, what could they do here?
Yeah. So first of all, you have to identify whatever your mindset may be about social media. Like, why haven't you logged in there in a while? And are you not going on because you don't want to be a consumer? You don't have to be a consumer, right? Especially for what we're looking to do. We're looking to get deals. So your students are looking to get deals. So go on there and look for those deals. So I think you have to identify what your mindset is and then go in there with an intention in mind. Social media is not going anywhere. It's the fastest, cheap, free way to get exactly who you're looking for, and everybody's on there. So the takeaways from the conference were: post at least 10 times a day on your story,
Wow.
30 seconds or less, and you only have 3 seconds to hook somebody. If you're doing a video, you need to capture their attention within the first 3 seconds, or else just forget about the rest of the video. So your editing matters the most. But we can deep dive into that if you'd like. But I would say, like, what's the worst that'll happen if you start posting on social media?
Well, I think what the fears I see literally, so the people that are, I did it, but right, they're going to get called a scam. They get called a flipper. Well, and maybe you are, right? Like, I know that sometimes I do flip a house. So to me, that's not a negative thing. But, you know, some people will come out, you know, and just, they'll be the little internet trolls, I call them, or the keyboard warriors. So I guess back to mindset, you know, how do we encourage others to not let that bother them? It's easy for me to say. I've been thrown since, you know, 2017, I think, when we really went all in on social media. So 8 years here, just, you know, every single day somebody's throwing a rotten tomato at me. But for a new person, it's a lot.
Yeah, so I talked to this social media manager at the conference, and he was talking about like how you have to have really tough skin to want to go viral, because what makes you go viral are the negative comments, actually, which is ironic in the world that we live in. But I'll go back to like the self-worth equation I always speak of. So irrelevant, like all of that stuff is just noise externally. The only way that it's going to affect you internally is if you allow it to, right? If you like choose to allow other strangers to let you feel bad about yourself. And then it goes to like how you identify your self-worth. So if I were to ask you, Jen, how do you identify your self-worth? You either A, don't know because you've never been asked it, or B, 60% of people that do answer say external things. So they'll say like, oh, I have a beautiful house, and so I'm worthy. I'm like, that's what equals my self-worth, or I have a beautiful car or whatever. And self-worth is really your internal characteristics. So if you can build up your internal characteristics and build up that equation for yourself, what happens externally will matter a lot less. And then you won't care, and you won't care more and more. And then you'll start doing and showing up to who you authentically are more and more every day.
That is so good. If you're listening, you might need to rewind that part right there, because I feel like you just gave like a golden mini lesson because it is true. You know, we get caught up on, and I know I do this too, where I compare like, well, I don't have 1 million followers, or I don't do this X, Y, or Z, but that doesn't matter. You know, like even those of us who do show up consistently, like, I don't know about you, but like I have to put the blinders on, post the message I want to say, and then sometimes I hop off. Other times, like I get in there and I'm responding to comments, but I always try to say, show up for the person that truly needs your story. For me, it's this, in the beginning, it was the sellers, right? Like, so I tell my clients, like, your seller is waiting for you. So you're going to have to weed through some of the people that are going to call you names, but you can't let it bother you. And I think that piece, that little puzzle piece of the external, internal, like that could really help a lot of people listening, because I don't think we're ever taught it, right?
No, I mean, I went through a coach to teach me that, a personal development coach that actually taught me a lot in a year and a half. And that was my basic takeaway. So yeah, if you can, and I think I do that by journaling every morning, like literally the most simple things, just like bullet pointing what you appreciate about yourself or what you love about yourself, nothing external. So you're not allowed to say like, I'm pretty or I'm skinny or like whatever. You have to say internal things like I'm funny or I'm very smart, or, you know, whatever your internal characteristic makeup is, and start to build that muscle every day.
So it comes back to like self-love, self-worth, and really being able to like know, like Joe always says, my husband, he's like, you know, if someone calls you a frog, you're not going to get offended because you know you're not a frog. And so every comment, therefore, after, like, just think of that phrase. And it has helped some people because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, these people they're not, there's nothing you're going to do to change their mind. They probably don't have a house that you're going to help them with.
No, yeah. And no one doing better than you is making fun or tearing you down, right? So why take them into consideration?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I know we're kind of bouncing all around, but I was just
Go
kind of
ahead.
thinking, I want to go back to the Airbnb because it was so hot. Like a couple years ago, it was all the rage, short-term rentals, and I know people are still doing well with them, but it seems as though that bubble may have burst.
Oh, yeah.
And people are definitely maybe not the happiest with their short-term rentals or whatnot. So anyone who is thinking about it, because you said you would not want to be in the hospitality business, you're not meant for it, and I am with you because I've been a guest at Airbnbs. So I try to be a good guest, but I don't ever think I could be a host for so many reasons. So if somebody is really like set on, like, I really want to buy a house on terms and I want to Airbnb it, what are some like down and dirty like do's and don'ts, would you say? Like just kind of rapid fire.
They do want to do an Airbnb.
They think they do. Yeah. They haven't gotten
They
into
think
it yet.
they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, I started Airbnb before it was even cool. Like 6 years ago was before anyone even was doing Airbnb. And I was like, selfishly, let's buy this house so we could use it in the wintertime from New Jersey down to Florida, right? And I was like, let's throw it on this Airbnb. And turns out it was like my best performing asset. And so then we started to acquire more. But back to your question, you have to decide if you want to be in the hospitality business because it is hospitality. Like you think, like, do you want to work at the front desk of a hotel and be on call literally 24/7? It's drastically different than being a landlord, in my opinion.
Yeah. Do you have any stories you can share? Oh my gosh.
I've been very fortunate. We had around 6 at a time, I think, or maybe a little bit more, but roughly around 6 Airbnbs at a time. I didn't have any terrible stories. They were all like respectful families that were going on like summer vacation with their families. So that's good.
But the demand there, I'm imagining, like, is your phone just dinging like, I need more towels, or like, I can't.
Exactly. I can't turn on the TV. I can't get on the Wi-Fi. I'm out of toilet paper. I'm like, I'm not your girl. At all. If you want to start a business, if you want to know about real estate, call me. But like, yeah. And so of course you can leverage it out. And of course I had like a host, and we were a super host. So we did well, but still like your host still reports to you, right? As the owner, and you're still giving approvals for all the things, you know, the host is like, should I go and give them more toilet paper? No, like absolutely not. They got 2 rows. There's only 1 guest. I don't know what to tell you.
That's a visual.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Yeah. And I think
And
that's
like,
why people, when we say like, we haven't done that, and there was a little time and place where we even bought like $1,000 course and we looked through it and we're like, I don't know about that. And we just stick to our rent to own because truly, like, it is more along the lines of set it and forget it. And I just cannot imagine the silly phone calls. Because when I do it, I have one rental to this day still, Cynthia. Hi, Cynthia, if you're listening. But like, she put the batteries in upside down. And so that was like a $150 charge to the service guy who went over to check the thermostat because it was, you know, freezing in her house, but it was all because the batteries were in wrong. So just like little things like that, I can only imagine would just add up over time.
yeah. And so like as a landlord, you usually have like 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever your lease says, right? To fix the problem that they may have. And their problems are very limited, right? Like you're only responsible for like utilities working and there not being a hole in the roof or something. And so like with Airbnb or short-term rental, there's a laundry list and you are subject, like your whole business is running off of reviews and you are subject to every single person coming in and out of there every 2 days. Like our average stay was 2 days. So like imagine how many people are coming through that you have to keep 100% happy to get a 5-star review because that's how you're rated and that's how your next guest is going to find you to book your place. So if you don't have 5-star reviews 24/7, you're not going to book out and you're going to have to pay your mortgage.
Yeah.
So if you're really good at hospitality and customer service, it's a good fit because you can make a lot of money.
Yeah. But even then, I feel like you've got to really make sure that you've got like the prime location. And now like there's like these murals getting painted and this like fun pads. I don't know. It's just like it's turning into a bit of a scene from the outskirts looking in. I again don't own one. So
Because I think because there's more competition, and so you can't just rent out your standard 3-bed, 1.5 bath ranch house that looks like your grandmother lived there a couple years ago. Like a couple years ago, that would have been your best performing asset because it was the only place in town that you could rent out. And now there's like so much competition. So you start to see over the last couple of years, people are really starting to go above and beyond to like theme their spots out. And it's kind of cool. It is cool. If you like interior design and doing all that.
So you went fix and flipping, you had some rentals, you did some short term, and do you own any of those today?
Yeah, I still own 4. None of them are short term. They're all long term now. I went so the market shifted. You mentioned this a little bit. The market shifted here in Tampa Bay area. Influx of people buying Airbnbs.
Moving here.
Yes. So there was an influx of Airbnbs and my properties were not performing as well. And then we shifted over to midterm, which was, traveling nurses staying for like 3 months at a time, or contract workers coming for like the hurricanes, for example, for 4 months at a time. So they would rent 3-4 months at a time. And so you still have to keep the property furnished. You're still covering all of the utilities, but instead of people coming in and out every 2 days, you have people coming out every 3 to 4 months. And so I got sick of that, and now we're on to long term. So now everybody's back to long term.
I love that. But that's like the flexibility. You can literally create your life and fit whatever it is that you want to be doing day to day to reflect that in your real estate business. And that's why I still love rent to own, because it's like pretty much set it and forget it. And as long as they're paying on time, life is good. We've got one guy who's wanting to buy us out by the end of the year. So we're like, all right, maybe do a little 1031. That could be fun, and buy a couple more properties. But I just love your story too, because for me, like, I went to school, I became an English teacher, and I had that mindset of like, that was it. That was the end all be all. I'll get my little gold bell and I'll probably retire. But then when Joe and I started talking about real estate, this whole world opened up. And then when we started coaching, I realized that people just like me who had degrees that now they didn't need, you really don't know what is going to happen. And so for you get into real estate, and, fast forward all these years later, you're literally living your dream life. So when people are following you, you can see like the cutest photos of you all around town. You and, is it Matcha, your dog?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So adorable. But truly, like, living your best life and helping other people. Like you said, your goal, that dream, that why, getting you through those hard days, peanut butter in the car, was that one day you'd be able to coach people. And so like, I get like goosebumps right now, just like thinking about the whole, like, how it comes full circle, because real estate was the vehicle that got you here. And I just want to share that, because sometimes there are hard days in real estate, and no one is here to tell you otherwise, because there's a deal that might go bad, a seller gets grumpy, an attorney blows up a deal. But then there's some deals that go through and you make some money, and then that gets you so much closer to the life you truly want to live. And so I'd just love to kind of hear anything else you can add to that, because I think that your story truly is very, very powerful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And congrats for you getting out of the mindset of, I need to stay in my 9-to-5 teacher job till I retire, by the way. I have a lot of friends that are still teachers back at home in my very small town. And I'm like, God, like, if you could just open your mind a little bit, like, your whole life could change drastically. Like, you don't have to be in New Jersey anymore. So congrats to you. Yeah. And I don't think that you need to burn yourself out in real estate or in any career, by the way. I think people get caught up, and I can talk about it because I did. I got caught up in like needing to scale and needing to grow the team and all the things that they say you are supposed to do. I didn't need to do any of that. I could have perfectly been happy selling like a third of what I was selling a year and like just carried on with my life. So I think you really have to be purposeful about like, what specifically do you want your life to look like? Do I want to stay in one geographic location? Do I want to work remote? Do I want to be in person? Do I want to be on call 24/7? That's another thing about real estate. Like, your phone is all the time. So being purposeful about what you want, and then like saying no to other things. Like, if you're in a community where they're saying like, you need to grow and scale your
I resonate with that so much. I mean, we would move down here. Joe went and got an office downtown, and he started going downtown to the office every day. And all of a sudden I looked at him and I'm like, this is not what we got into this for. Like, this is totally going backwards.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know. He's like, but in my head, I thought I needed the office and the team there. And for us, it's not about that. For us, it is homeschooling the kids, working out of our office at home, or he's outside right now running a support call and building the life that doesn't look like anybody else's. And that's okay. And I think that just give yourself permission, like you said, to figure out what it is you want and then say no to everything else. Because there's this hustle grind culture. And I'm telling you, I had to get rid of my Apple Watch for a reason. I now have an Aura Ring, so I don't get those notifications. I hit Do Not Disturb, and I've learned to turn it off because there are times where everything seems to be an emergency, but it's not.
Yeah, and when everything's an emergency, nothing's an emergency.
You can say that again. Oh my gosh, Kate, we had so much fun today just chatting and, hearing more about everything that you've been up to and doing. And so if people do want to follow you and get inspired by your social posts, where can we find you?
My name, Kate Denese, KateDanese on pretty much all social media. And you can DM me if you have any questions.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And if you guys have questions below, comment. And if you haven't yet, like and subscribe to this podcast. We'd love for you to do so. And thanks for coming on today. I love having lady chat. No boys allowed today. And girls, this is your time to shine. Like, go out there, find out what it is you want, and go after it. Until next time.
Thank you.